In the 1970s Japan, police issued official warnings about a masked woman stalking children. Her question, "Am I pretty?" became a death sentence for those who answered wrong. This is Kuchisake Onna, just one of many vengeful female spirits that cultures worldwide fear. Tonight, we'll uncover why societies from Ireland to Indonesia share nearly identical legends about weeping, murderous women. Their stories reveal a dark truth about how grief and betrayal echo beyond death. Reported encounters with a woman wearing a surgical mask. She would stop them on empty streets, asking if they thought she was beautiful. If they said yes, she'd remove the mask to reveal a mouth slit ear to ear. "Am I pretty now?" she'd whisper. Answer wrong, and she'd slice your face to match hers. This wasn't some ancient myth. Police in Gifu Prefecture actually issued bulletins warning parents about a knife-wielding woman targeting kids. Schools kept children indoors during dismissal. Newspapers ran illustrations of her surgical mask and scissors. What's chilling is how quickly this urban legend spread, despite 0 confirmed attacks. By 1979, psychologists noted kids in Tokyo, 400 kilometers away, having panic attacks about her. But the myth has older roots. During the Edo period, jealous samurai were known to disfigure unfaithful wives by cutting their cheeks or mouths. Historical accounts describe this punishment as kuchisake, literally slit-mouthed. Some versions claim Kuchisake Onna was a samurai's beautiful wife caught cheating. Others say she was a modern woman, mutilated by a surgeon husband. The mask she wears mirrors actual post-war Japan, where tuberculosis patients covered their mouths in public. There's a dark psychological twist to why this legend targets children specifically. Japanese schools have long used kawaii hanashi, scary stories, as moral lessons. Kuchisake Onna teaches 2 things. Don't talk to strangers, and don't obsess over appearances. The correct answer to her question varies by region. Some say calling her average saves you. Others insist dropping candy distracts her. These loopholes let kids feel they can outsmart danger. Her surgical mask is the perfect modern symbol. It hides trauma like domestic abuse still hidden in polite society. When she removes it, you see the brutal truth beneath. That's why "Am I Pretty?" hits harder than any ghost story. It forces you to confront how beauty standards can be violent. Women who don't fit them become monsters, missing children posters in 1970s. Japan sometimes blamed Kuchisake Onna, showing how legends fill real societal gaps. Generations grew up fearing that question. Adults who heard the tale as kids still feel uneasy seeing women in masks. Psychologists call it the Kuchisake Onna effect, urban legend shaping behavior. Believe it or not, in 2004, a college student actually assaulted women with scissors, claiming to be her. That's the power of folklore. It doesn't need to be real to hurt people. From Japan's slit-mouthed woman, we cross to Mexico, where another weeping ghost hides near water. Her story begins not in alleyways but in rivers. And unlike Kuchisake Onna, she really did drown children. La Llorona's cries still echo through pueblos tonight. Long before La Llorona became Mexico's most famous ghost, the Aztecs told stories about Cihuacoatl. She wandered at night, wailing for her lost children. People said her cries sounded like a woman grieving, but there was something unnatural about them. Too high, too sharp. When Spanish conquistadors arrived, they brought their own version of the story. The weeping woman became a cautionary tale about sin.
instead of a goddess warning of empire's fall. Modern La Llorona legends usually follow the same outline. A beautiful woman marries a wealthy man who leaves her for someone younger. In rage or madness, she drowns their children in a river. When she realizes what she's done, it's too late. Some versions say she drowned herself. Others claim townspeople kill her. Either way, she's cursed to wander waterways forever, dragging children under to replace her own. But the earliest Spanish accounts differ. Missionaries in the 1500s wrote about hearing wails near lakes at night. They described the sound as unearthly, not quite human. Native people told them it was Quihuacoatl, the snake woman, weeping for her people's coming destruction. The friars took this story and reshaped it. They made the ghost mortal. They gave her sins. They turned prophecy into punishment. Rivers became central to the tale for practical reasons. In colonial Mexico, women did laundry in rivers. Children played nearby. Drownings happened often enough to fuel the legend. People would hear splashing at night and assume it was La Llorona, rather than an animal or drunk villager. The sound of wet fabric slapping against rocks mirrored her traditional description. Long white dress soaked through, clinging to thin limbs. Parents still use the story to keep kids from wandering near water at night. Say her name near certain rivers in Mexico City, and locals will warn you to be quiet. Some claim she only takes disobedient children. Others say any child near water after dark is fair game. Tour guides in Xochimilco's canals report passengers hearing cries that don't match any known animal. Recordings exist of these sounds. High, wavering notes that abruptly cut off. What makes La Llorona stand out is how often people mistake real tragedies for her work. Her bodies surface in rivers, especially children's. Whispers start. In 2015, rescue divers searching for a missing boy in the Rio Grande reported hearing a woman sobbing upstream. They found no one. Similar stories pop up along Mexico's waterways every few years. Forensic experts note how easily wind through reeds can mimic human crime. Cinema softened La Llorona's brutality. Most adaptations focus on her as a tragic figure rather than a genuine threat. They show her mourning, not murdering. The 2019 horror film The Curse of La Llorona made her a demonic entity. Purists argue this loses the point. Real folklore describes her as cunning. She might mimic a lost child's voice to lure rescuers into deep water. Some legends say she appears as a beautiful woman to men walking alone at night, only to reveal her drowned face when they're close. The tale persists because it serves multiple purposes. It warns children about real dangers. It reflects colonial anxieties about Native women and mixed-race offspring. It turns collective trauma into something tangible people can avoid by staying inside after dark. At its core, it's about motherhood turned monstrous, the ultimate societal fear. The river isn't just where she killed her kids. It's where she grieves forever, unable to escape what she did. La Llorona's cries might be guilt or vengeance or sheer madness. What's certain is that near water, after midnight, you'll hear things that don't sound quite right. Maybe it's the wind. Maybe it's an animal. But maybe it's something standing just out of sight, waiting for you to come closer. Meanwhile, in Southeast Asia, another spirit waits under banana trees. She smells like frangipani blossoms right before she strikes. The Pontianak doesn't weep over lost children. She tears men apart with her bare hands for what they took from her.
In Malaysia and Indonesia, when you smell frangipani blossoms at night with no trees in sight, start running. The scent means A Pontianak is near. This isn't some delicate flower spirit. It's a vampire born from women who died in childbirth. Traditional beliefs say their rage at being cheated of motherhood turns them into killers. But here's the thing. The Pontianak doesn't just attack anyone. She specifically hunts men. Historical records from 19th century Java show why this story took root. Back then, dying during or after childbirth wasn't rare. Without modern medicine, complications like bleeding or infection often turned fatal. Villages developed rituals to prevent the dead mother from returning as a Pontianak. They'd bury her with needles in her neck, glass beads in her mouth, or eggs under her armpits. The idea was to block her transformation. Families who skipped these rites supposedly invited disaster. Neighbors would claim to hear laughter from the grave at night, followed by reports of attacks. Victims' accounts share eerie similarities. Construction workers in modern Jakarta tell of smelling flowers right before something cold grabs them from behind. The nails come next. Long, sharp, and unnatural. Some men wake with scratches they can't explain. Others disappear entirely. In 2017, a highway crew in Malaysia abandoned a project near banana trees after multiple workers fell mysteriously ill. They insisted a pale woman with black hair had been watching them from the tree line each night. Banana trees factor heavily in Pontianak lore. People believe these spirits hide among them during the day, their long hair blending with the leaves. The trees supposedly quiver when a Pontianak is present, even without wind. Colonial-era documents mention plantation workers refusing to harvest banana plants alone. Supervisors had to assign teams of 3 or more to keep men from fleeing the fields. Dutch colonizers added another layer to the fear. When European doctors arrived, they branded local midwives as witches. Suddenly, every maternal death became suspicious. Villages accused midwives of cursing women to create Pontianaks. Some healers faced execution. This spilled over into general mistrust of women who lived alone or practiced traditional medicine. Colonial reports describe multiple cases of mobs attacking suspected Pontianak makers during outbreaks of stillbirths. Modern encounters still happen. Taxi drivers in Kuala Lumpur swap stories about picking up beautiful women who vanish from the back seat. Security guards at rubber plantations report seeing figures in white darting between trees. What's telling is how many witnesses mention the nails first. Not the fangs you'd expect from a vampire, but claws that seem unnaturally sharp. Anthropologists debate whether this represents castration anxiety, the idea of men fearing revenge for generations of domination. Others argue it's more literal. Birth trauma turned outward as violence. Survival tactics vary by region. Some say reciting prayers keeps the Pontianak at bay. Others claim compliments disarm her. There's a recurring idea that calling her beautiful might make her pause. It echoes older traditions where men would speak gently to restless spirits. Of course, not everyone gets the chance to try. Construction sites near old burial grounds still report equipment failures and worker injuries blamed on Pontianaks. Managers sometimes hire shamans to perform protective rituals before projects begin. The Pontianak represents more than just ghost stories. She embodies the terror of childbirth in eras without proper medical care. Her preferred targets, men, reflect anger at those who could walk away unscathed from maternal deaths. Even her flowery scent carries meaning. Frangipani blooms are common at funerals across Southeast Asia. The sweetness masks decay. When survivors say they smelled flowers before an attack, it's death they're really detecting. Unlike La Llorona's watery grave or Kuchisake Ana's urban streets, the Pontianak haunt spaces between civilization and wilderness. banana groves, construction sites, abandoned plantations. These are places where society's rules break down. She thrives where men feel most in control of nature, turning that confidence against them. Modern Malaysia still sees her as real enough that some obstetric wards keep frangipani plants away from delivery rooms. No one wants to invite comparisons. Cross the world to Ireland, and you'll find a spirit with far less ambiguity. The banshee doesn't smell like flowers or hide in trees. She announces herself with a scream no one can ignore. And once you hear it, someone you love will die. There's no bargaining with her, no clever tricks to escape. The banshee comes when death does, waiting outside houses like a living obituary.
In Ireland, some families still wait for a scream in the night. Not from foxes or the wind, but from the banshee, a spirit who cries before someone dies. The sound supposedly carries for miles, cutting through sleep like a knife. While tourist shops sell banshee merch with cartoon ghosts, the real legend is far less cute. This isn't Casper. Hearing her means you'll soon bury a relative. The original banshee stories came from Celtic keening women. These were professional mourners who wailed at funerals to guide souls to the afterlife. Over time, people started reporting the same cries before deaths occurred. The banshee became a predictor, not just a mourner. British colonizers diluted the legend, turning these spirits into generic haunted house attractions. But in Irish families with old Gaelic roots, she never lost her original purpose. Some surnames like O'Connor, O'Neill, or O'Brien traditionally linked to banshee sightings. These clans once ruled parts of Ireland before English conquest. Their oral histories describe the banshee as a familial watchdog. She didn't show up for just anyone. Only certain bloodlines warranted her visit. Modern descendants occasionally report hearing the cries before unexpected deaths. A 1974 case in County Limerick made papers when multiple neighbors described an unearthly scream hours before a local school teacher drowned. His family tree traced back to medieval Gaelic kings. Not everyone hears the banshee the same way. Some describe her voice as beautiful, a sad melody that lingers. Others recall it as pure terror, a sound that freezes your blood. Psychologists suggest this split reflects personal fears. Those expecting comfort might interpret the wail as mournful. People with death anxiety hear something sharper. There's no recording of what a banshee actually sounds like. Witnesses argue over whether it resembles a woman screaming, a screech owl, or something entirely inhuman. The banshee's appearance changes too. Older accounts paint her as a hunched crone with rotten teeth and stringy hair. Some 19th century stories claim she wears green with red eyes. More recent sightings describe a young woman, sometimes brushing her long hair by a stream. The hair color varies, red in some tales, black in others. Folklorists think this color coding might represent different clan affiliations lost to time. Red hair tied to ancient Gaelic roots, black to families with Viking ancestry. Mental health experts have theories about banshee encounters. Grief hallucinations might explain some reports. When people stress about sick relatives, their brains can manufacture sounds reflecting that fear. Sleep paralysis could account for nighttime sightings. Collective hysteria also plays a role. Once one person claims to hear the wail, neighbors might catch the experience. Still, that doesn't clarify older cases where banshee cries predicted accidents no one saw coming. Irish tourism sanitized the banshee heavily. Pub crawls advertise banshee-themed scary tours. Gift shops sell plastic figurines with taglines like a Ireland spooky ghost gal. This commercial version strips away the real dread. Original folklore never had banshees haunting random tourists. She wasn't a Halloween decoration. Families who truly believed in her treated sightings like obituary notices. Private, terrifying, and deeply personal. Recorded interviews with rural Irish families reveal how seriously some take the tradition. Elderly respondents describe childhood warnings about mocking the banshee. Parents told kids if they imitated the wail, death would visit their house instead. Certain areas became known as banshee hotspots, usually near old clan territories or battle sites. Crossroads feature heavily in stories, possibly because they symbolize life choices in Celtic spirituality. Unlike La Llorona or Cuchisaquiona, the banshee doesn't interact directly. She doesn't ask questions or chase victims. Her role is purely observational. She appears, she cries, and death follows. Some legends say washing clothes in certain rivers at night risks seeing her, but she won't harm you, just deliver bad news. Stories exist of men encountering her and surviving, though shaken. The message stays the same. Prepare for loss. Modern technology hasn't erased belief. In 2010, a Dublin hospital nurse reported hearing wails outside before 3 patients died in one night. Security found no source. Irish paranormal investigators still get calls about possible banshee activity, usually from families with Gaelic surnames. Skeptics dismiss these as coincidence, but in rural areas, many consider her a grim family heirloom, passed down like silverware or land deeds. Her persistence makes sense when you consider Ireland's history. Famine, colonization, mass immigration, centuries of loss embedded grief into cultural memory. The banshee gave people a semblance of control. If death announced itself, maybe you could brace for impact. She represented both impending doom and the weird comfort. Someone cared enough to warn you. That warning system stands apart from other global ghost stories. The banshee doesn't want revenge like Pontianak. She isn't trapped like La Llorona. She's more like a supernatural coroner, marking souls before collection. Her unstoppable nature might explain why she's less feared now than other spirits. Death inevitable isn't as scary as death avoidable. Humans prefer thinking they can outrun fate. But strip away the tourism kitsch, and the banshee remains Ireland's most unsettling export. She's not about jump scares. She's about that moment when the phone rings at 3 a.m. and you already know. The primal human terror of knowledge you don't want. Other cultures have ghosts who kill or punish. The banshee simply tells you it's coming. Whether that's crueler depends on how you view truth. Yet her template, the pale woman in flowing clothes, spread worldwide, from German castle ghosts to Appalachian haints.
Every taxi driver in Manila knows the story. You're cruising down Ballet Drive past midnight when you see her. A young woman in a white dress, thumb out like she needs a ride. You pull over. She gets in. Then halfway down the road, you glance in the rear view and the seat's empty. That's the white lady of Ballet Drive. But versions of her exist globally. From German castles to Latin American cemeteries, the betrayed woman in white haunts nearly every culture colonized by Europe. Her uniform is always the same. Pale gown, flowing hair, arms outstretched. The wedding dress is key. These ghosts often wear bridal white, sometimes still stained with blood or dirt from their graves. Scholars trace this to medieval Europe's burial practices. Unmarried women frequently got buried in makeshift bridal gowns so they could marry Christ in the afterlife. Colonial powers exported this imagery worldwide. In the Philippines, Locals blended it with pre-existing ghost brides from Malay folklore. Mexican versions merged it with La Llorona's wet nightgown. The white dress became shorthand for wronged woman across cultures that never originally shared ghost lore. Hitchhiking ghosts like Belit Drive's White Lady follow a script. Drivers describe her entering the car normally, then vanishing near accident sites or old graves. Some claim the seat feels icy where she sat. Others report hearing sobs after she disappears. The stories stay suspiciously consistent. Enough that Manila's taxi companies unofficially warn new drivers about certain pickup spots. Paranormal investigators note most sightings cluster near Belit Drive's massive belet trees, which locals traditionally associated with spirits long before the White Lady legend. There's a creepy duality to these ghosts. They're simultaneously sexualized and virginal. The white dress symbolizes purity, but many legends emphasize their beauty. German castle ghosts like the White Lady of Berlin allegedly seduce men before revealing their decay. This virgin whore paradox reflects societal discomfort with female desire. A woman scorned is dangerous, but a beautiful corpse is somehow romantic. Modern horror films amplify this, often portraying white ladies as tragic figures who lure men to their deaths through misguided affection. Suicide plays a recurring role. Many white lady legends start with a bride jumping from a cliff or hanging herself after betrayal. Japan's Oyuki, another white-gowned ghost, drowned herself over lost love. This ties back to historical stigma. Suicide victims often got buried in unconsecrated ground, fueling ghost stories. Their white dresses might represent the shrouds they were denied. Some Philippine versions twist this further, suggesting these ghosts aren't suicides at all, but murder victims whose killers staged their deaths. Feminist retellings reframe white ladies as avengers. Recent Filipino horror comics depict the Belit Drive ghost punishing abusive men instead of pining for love. A German stage play reimagined the White Lady of Burg Hohenzollern as a widow systematically haunting the nobles who executed her husband. These updates shift the narrative from woman destroyed by love to woman destroying systems that harmed her. The white gown becomes armor instead of a burial shroud. The outstretched arms detail appears in every culture's version. Whether it's Mexico's Llorona reaching for her children or Germany's Weissfrau grasping at castle walls, that gesture links them all. Body language experts suggest it signals unresolved desire, the need to hold what was lost. Paranormal enthusiasts argue it's a literal reach across the veil between worlds. Either way, that frozen posture makes these ghosts instantly recognizable worldwide. You might not know local folklore, but you recognize a spirit begging for something she'll never get. What's unsettling is how adaptable the template became. Colonialism exported Europe's ghost bride, but indigenous cultures molded her to fit existing fears. The Philippines merged her with tree spirits. Mexico blended her with river deities. Even in America, the woman in white urban legend popped up along highways, hitchhiking like Belit Drive's specter. Globalization didn't homogenize these stories. It gave them new ways to mutate while keeping core imagery intact. Recent sociological studies suggest white lady legends spike during times of gender role upheaval, post-World War II. Every culture crafts its ghosts out of what hurts most. These weeping, slashing, wailing women aren't accidents. They're lessons. Japan needed Kuchisake Onna to confront beauty standards. Mexico needed La Llorona to remember drowned history. Ireland needed the banshee to voice unspoken grief. They endure because we still need them.
That sob outside your window? It carries centuries of pain. Not just one woman's, but generations. So tell me in the comments, which of these ghosts haunts your hometown? Who's the woman your culture couldn't forget? And before you go, hit like if you learned something. Just maybe keep the lights on tonight. Sweet dreams.